Hey there everyone, happy Sunday. I am King 5 meteorologist Adam Clavon. It's been another really warm day, and today it is going to be the hottest for many of us. We expect numbers to start to take a bit of a step back heading into Monday, but we did see some records today, and we're going to talk about where exactly those were and how we got pretty close to some records today, and we're also going to go over what's still ahead for Monday as things are still going to be fairly warm. Later into the week though, there's a cool down on the way, so if you're not a fan of this heat, we do have relief on the way for you. Let's talk about some of the numbers this afternoon. Highs made their way into the low 80s around Bellingham. Guess what? That's only about a degree off of where the record was for today. Previous record was at 82. 81 is our observed high. Now out of the airport, SeaTac, guess what? We made it up to 88 degrees, and that is a new daily record for today's date. The last time we hit 87 was back in 2015, and so we beat that record out. It looks like we're going to stay shy there in Olympia, and as we go into the day tomorrow, numbers are actually going to cool down a little bit, and also our records for tomorrow are more so well into the 90s, so those should probably be safe heading on into a Monday. But let's take a look at some other highs here across the area. Port Angeles, 83, really warm there. Low 90s down around Shelton, Puyallup, and in Chehalis. 79 in Hoquiam, record there for today's date actually at 93, so we were well away from that. But up around Quileute, record was at 84, so 83, not too shabby, right? Pretty close, definitely not as hot as what we saw farther to the east, but what we're expecting here as we head on into the night is that, especially for those of us farther to the east around the Kitsap Peninsula and parts of Puget Sound, we're not going to cool down a whole lot, while areas closer to the coast will probably see those temperatures drop well into the 50s, and not even seeing some spots approaching the upper 40s. Now, for those of us who are farther to the east and in some of these larger cities, we have to deal with another factor, and that's the urban heat island. And what exactly is that? That heating during the day, that solar radiation that makes its way down and into those concrete surfaces around those buildings and sidewalks and such, well, that gets absorbed into that concrete, and it kind of sticks there too, because concrete holds on to that, and it allows things to warm up more so during the daytime hours and keeps it from cooling down as much as we head into the night, as usually that would just escape back into outer space. So not as much of an issue for rural areas, as they would cool down a lot more easily with more vegetation and plant life out there. But for those of us who are going to be in the larger cities, prepare for a warm overnight. So that's why we're still in first alert mode here through the rest of tonight and heading on into the day for tomorrow. We also have advisories to tell you about. We'll show you those here in a second. But another day where highs could be about 10 to 20 degrees above average. And also, too, we want to always remind you that cold water risk is still a thing because of that cold water shock and going from the hot air into these cooler bodies of water, too. Rivers, lakes, and streams still running pretty fast, and also that water pretty cold as we're still melting quite a bit of that snowpack. And for those of us who are experienced swimmers, yeah, I think we kind of know the deal. We know how to deal with these sort of conditions, but we don't want to ever take it too lightly because you can quickly lose muscle control. And always wear a life jacket too. If you're going to be out on the water, make sure that you have that life jacket not only just with you, but you have it on you as well. All right, here's your 7-day forecast. I did mention there's a cool down on the way for those of you who are a fan of more of the temperate weather. Well, it's coming. It looks like we'll start that off more into the day on Thursday and see a lot more of it to come into the upcoming weekend. But one more first alert day with those highs into the mid to upper 80s. Check out the satellite imagery. Clear skies out there. It's looking gorgeous. And up this way around the mountains where we don't have to deal with as much of the heat, still a pretty nice day too. Up here at Paradise, people out there enjoying that. It looks like some people out here on the jetty looking at the sun as it still has a while before it sets, but just enjoying all the sights and the scenes there. Also here at La Push, again, a lot of clear skies. We warmed up well into those low 80s, and it was a pretty warm day, especially by coastal standards. And up this way around Poulsbo, things pretty clear there, and a lot of clear skies with a beautiful shot of Mount Baker off into the distance right here. Can you see it? It's right there above the strait. Beautiful shot of that here as we get ready to head on into the latter part of our day on Sunday. Bellingham, plenty of clear skies there. Also, a lot of these spots not under the heat advisory where I just showed you, but where we are in the heat advisory right here in Tacoma. Wonderful shot of Mount Rainier off into the distance, but it's a pretty hot day down there with temperatures in the upper 80s, and over this way too in Everett as we're a bit cooler here, but still a really warm day for us as well. Seattle, 88 degrees here into your Sunday evening. Now this is as of about getting closer to 7 o'clock here into your Sunday evening. North winds at about 9 miles per hour. Not much of a cool down tonight, even probably still closer to that 70-degree mark by midnight tonight, and only starting off in the lower 60s for early tomorrow morning. Quite the difference from at this point today from where we were yesterday at 24 hours from now. Up by 4, 5, 10 degrees across the region. Makes a noticeable difference when you start to factor in that, as highs are in the mid to upper 80s and temperatures are even right now in the low 90s down around Shelton and Puyallup. Now, radar will stay quiet because we have that area of high pressure moving overhead, and that's going to sweep its way off to the east. And really no big changes for the next day or so, but we are going to start to see some things start to go into more of the cooler trend as we head on into later this week. As far as those heat advisories, there they are. They're with us until 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and for areas across the Kitsap Peninsula, Puget Sound, down across, especially South Sound, those interior spots heading into the foothills of Pierce County, areas of Thurston County as well. That's where we'll have a pretty good chance of maybe upper 80s again tomorrow, maybe staying shy of the 90-degree mark, but that extends all the way down towards the Oregon state line there along the Chehalis Valley along Interstate 5. And don't forget too, those interstate communities or those foothill communities along the Cascade foothills will still be more of a factor for tomorrow's heat as well. Check out what's happening here into the evening. We start to notice things changing a bit. Now, around the I-5 corridor, not a whole lot. Still have that more north and northeasterly flow, which means our air mass is coming off of the hot land. Out towards the coast, though, you can start to see some of that milky coloring and shading beginning to pop up. What is that? Well, that's a little more of that marine layer coming back, and that's the cooler air mass that's going to start to find its way eastward here as we head into the very latter part of the day for tomorrow. So that's going to start to bring in much more of that cool down ahead for the coast, and you can see the wind barbs start to switch from more west to east as opposed to coming in from more just the north and from the east. Now, that's going to be changing up for the afternoon hours over the entire Olympic Peninsula, and then maybe impacting us closer to areas such as Tumwater and Olympia late into our afternoon and heading to the evening. That's going to bring in the cooler air mass. Still going to hold on to the heat, though, into the early evening around the I-5 corridor, especially east side. But then tomorrow night into the day on Tuesday, check out how things really do start to change up for us, and we'll see some additional clouds, too, and that might help to limit some of the heating as well. Lows tonight. Prepare for a warm one. If you can open up the windows, try to let as much of that cool air in as possible. The coast, again, will be a lot more bearable for us as you head out that way. If you have AC, yeah, go ahead and use that. Tomorrow's highs, mid-70s in Bellingham, 73 in Orcas Island, nearing 80 around Mount Vernon, but again, more of the comfortable spots up this way. The foothill communities, definitely hotter on Monroe, getting up to 84, 87 in Gold Bar. Camino and Whidbey Island, 70s, maybe even 60s for highs. Down this way around Kingston, Bainbridge Island, Paulsbo, up around 85 in Bremerton. Going to be another warm day, and then across King County as well. 87 in Issaquah, while seeing 90s possibly around Yelm and Puyallup. Most spots, though, going to be maybe another degree or two cooler than what we had here for this afternoon, and then we'll continue to see more of that trend as you head down the I-5 corridor there through Castle Rock, Longview. Out towards the coast, though, I told you it's going to be quite a bit cooler. We're seeing those highs beginning to fall back down into even just more the 60s heading into your Monday afternoon. A little farther eastward, Hum Tulips getting up to 75 degrees. All right, your forecast for Tuesday, even more of a cool down ahead, and we'll see more of that all along the coast as well. Highs back down around the lower to mid 80s, so at that point, a lot more bearable. Although there east of the Cascades, still really hot. Leavenworth 93, Wenatchee just shy of the century mark and hitting actually 100 there. And yeah, come on, make sure to keep that in mind if you're heading over that way. All right, so conditions are dry, and this is going to be a deal for us probably for a little while now, because even with the cool down that's ahead here as we go later into the week, we still don't expect much in terms of rain. But with the hotter conditions we've seen here recently, those drought conditions that we have across parts of the Cascades and parts of Puget Sound, it's drying out the vegetation in our soil just a bit more, so you want to be careful of that. And that abnormally dry soil, we talk about this a lot, it's not technically drought. It's either going in or coming out of drought, but in our instance and in our case, we probably are going to be heading into drought because there's not much rain really ahead. So that will be something we'll continue to monitor. And as far as what's going to be happening with the changes here later this week, here we are Monday into Tuesday. The deeper reds that you see, that's that ridge of high pressure really going hand in hand with the hotter temperatures that we have. Now, once we see the lighter colors, the oranges, and even the lighter oranges and some of those yellows and greens beginning to pop up, that's a trough of low pressure, and that's often associated with cooler and also a little more of active weather. I think think mainly we're just talking about clouds in a lot of these cases. But it's going to be something that we'll keep an eye out for as far as maybe some shower chances as we go late into this upcoming weekend. Let's talk about that here really quickly. Here we are Wednesday into Thursday. You can see a lot of the clouds just pushing on by. We'll call it more partly sunny skies and maybe enough moisture to squeeze out a shower or two up across some of the higher terrain into Friday or Saturday. The chances are looking to be too high when it comes to rain in the lowlands. And even if we do see anything, it's going to be extremely light. We'll keep a lot of the better chances up into BC and up across Alberta. Now, for us, as we head into Sunday evening, maybe into Monday, you see that massive clouds and some shower chances. Well, that moisture will be heading east towards us out over the Pacific, and we'll see if we can keep any of that to hold together as it comes here across parts of western Washington. But at least our chances are improving of seeing some rain, and we're seeing cooler temperatures too, which will help out with keeping things maybe just slightly cooler and evaporating less moisture out of our vegetation and our soil. CPC, though, the Climate Prediction Center, is actually indicating that temperatures are going to be really close here to normal as we head on into the middle part of the month. These are taking into consideration the 16th through the 22nd of this month. So those are the dates that we're keeping an eye out for things to be closer to normal when it comes to temperatures and rainfall. They're actually calling for things to be maybe slightly above normal. Thing is, though, this time of the year, we don't really see a lot of rain. So if we see anything at all, most of the time, it's going to be above average. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind too. Any rain, though, that we can get will definitely be beneficial and welcomed. Now, as far as the temperatures here, as we go on into this week, we'll see highs go from the mid-80s tomorrow, falling back into the low 70s and upper 60s, which will be pretty close to where we should normally be for this time of the year. So again, relief is on the way for those of us who are cooler weather fans. And that's something that we'll keep quite a bit of here as we head on into the next 6 to 10 days. You can see those highs staying right around that 70-degree mark. All right, everyone, one more first alert day. We just got to get through the dates for tomorrow and again maybe tonight too, because it's still going to be a pretty warm overnight. We'll head into the day on Tuesday, still a pretty warm day in and of itself, but at least not quite as hot as we top off at 81, and then we'll see those highs back in the 70s and 60s as we head later on into the week. So we got some changes on the way, but still keep in mind though that we are under this heat advisory until 10 p.m. tomorrow, and thankfully it looks like tomorrow we will be staying shy of some of those daily records, which are more so in the mid-90s. All right, well, stay as cool as possible, everyone, and have a great Sunday night and enjoy the beginning part of your work week. We'll talk to you soon.